Hi everyone, welcome back to Tax Talk with Hey Hey. I am your host, Suhey Piedra with Prominence Business. Today I want to talk about the fear of the IRS. Why do we fear the IRS so much? We hear all these horror stories about the IRS garnishing our wages, the IRS going into our bank accounts and taking our savings or our business income, and all of those horror stories. People forget to mention that they've ignored the IRS, that they've ignored the Franchise Tax Board, and that they probably have a pile of IRS notices sitting somewhere. So the IRS is actually not that bad if you respond to them on a timely basis. And so what I mean by that is when we get our first notice, usually they're questioning something, and we don't really understand the language. So what we do is we ignore it, or we don't have a team that we can forward this letter to. We try to call our tax professional. Maybe they're not in the office or they're busy and fail to respond on a timely basis. So what ends up happening is we put the letter in a drawer and we kind of forget about it, thinking that they're going to go away. Well, a couple months later go by, we get another notice, and the IRS is now telling us that, hey, we sent you a notice, you failed to respond, therefore we believe you owe this additional tax. When that happens, we see a figure. And sometimes it's pretty scary because what the IRS has done is just disallowed something, and because you failed to respond to the first notice, now they've added an amount to it. And even though it does freak us out, again, we're so wrapped up in our business, we're busy, we're out there working, that we don't know how to respond. We don't know what to do. We think they're just going to go away. And we put that letter back in a drawer where, again, we ignore it. Well, before you know it, letters keep coming, 90-day notices, and nobody is responding to the IRS. So the IRS, to grab your attention, what they do is they will go into your bank account and take whatever they feel is appropriate for that notice. It could be a payment towards it, or it is the balance that is due. And now they've gotten our attention. So you're freaking out because they took your money that you were using to operate your business, money that you needed to pay your mortgage. It doesn't matter. The IRS at that point, they've taken your money. So we will get these frantic calls. We will get people saying, hey, I've tried to contact my tax professional. I've tried to get help. I don't know who to run to anymore. Is there something you can do to help me? Yes, we can still help you. We can get a power of attorney. We can contact them and say, hey, please return the money to this individual. They've just hired me. I will help them with the case, and I will help them clean up this mess, whatever they've got themselves into. If it's within X amount of time, a few days of them garnishing your wages or going in and taking your money from your bank account, we can still help you. We can still do something about it. It's when it's been longer periods that they've already maybe closed the case that it will require a little bit more work on our part. We don't want it to get that far. We don't want it to be ignored for that long of a period of time. So we always let our clients know anything you get in the mail, please forward it to us. Please send it to us so that we could take a look. Usually it ain't that bad. All it is they want clarification. Maybe they are looking for proof of something, so we want to make sure we send it to them. And we want to make sure that we ask for a time for an extension of time, and they will grant it to us. The IRS will work with us. So all of those horror stories that you hear, it's because they've been ignored. They've been ignored, and we try to push them away, and it doesn't work that way. So how do we prepare ourselves to deal with something like that? I always tell clients I like to sleep at night. I like my rest. So I'd rather know that if I do receive some sort of an IRS notice, that it's okay, that I have my documentation in order, that my bookkeeping is doing, is good, that I've kept receipts, that I kept emails, that I've kept, sometimes, most of the time, that you've kept good notes. So sometimes people are like, well, I went to Starbucks. How's the IRS going to know that this was a meeting with the client? Make a note on it. make a note on it, take pictures so that receipts don't fade, scan them, file them electronically, and all of that will work when the IRS is asking you for proof of something. So we want to make sure that we keep emails, that we keep receipts, that we keep good notes and documentation to back up those deductions. Now, sometimes I'll meet with individuals and they'll be like, well, my prior tax person says that I'm not allowed to write this off, or I'm not allowed to write that off. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you understand what the IRS law says. It says that any ordinary and necessary expense is considered a write-off. But what's ordinary and necessary for you may not be ordinary and necessary for someone else. So if we have a contractor, or we have a real estate agent, or we have, a baker, well, all of those industries, all of those businesses are going to have different ordinary and necessary expenses within their industry, within their business. So when there's a write-off for one of them, it may not necessarily be something that the other can write off. I mean, there's a famous case out there where a real estate agent won a case against the IRS for writing off her yacht. Well, my baker may not be able to write off a yacht, because how can I make that ordinary and necessary in their particular case? But this agent was an agent that sold high value properties near the coast. And she would take her clients on this yacht so that they could get a view of the property from the ocean, looking at the land. She was able to prove that it was ordinary and necessary in her line of business for the type of properties that she sells, for the type of clients that she services, to justify the fact that this needed to be a write-off. And she won the case. So again, you want to know, what is your industry? What is ordinary necessary for you? What type of clientele are you after? What type of business are you operating? And document. That's the most important thing, is you want to document everything, keep good records, keep good files. And when we speak to our clients, we speak to them on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis. So you want to make sure that you're not just trying to put documents together for just tax season. It's create good habits. Create good habits where receipts are scanned, receipts are put away, documents are put away on a monthly basis, so that should something ever happen, it's easy to access. It's easy to recall. The notes line up with emails. The notes line up with receipts. And with those things, then we can argue, we can demonstrate to the IRS that this was ordinary and necessary for our line of business. So don't be afraid of the IRS. Document and make sure that everything is in order, and create good habits. And we have a very good chance of winning should this ever be audited. It will definitely be up to us and how we prepare for things like this. So brings me back to saying, we don't want to just get caught up in working in our business. We definitely want to learn to work on our business. So hiring the right tax team that will help you understand that is what's always key. The first question that I get asked when people call our office is, how much do you charge for your tax preparation? Well, the real question should be, how much taxes can we save them? The cost really comes down to when we look at clients that come in and the prior preparer maybe charged them a couple $100 to do their taxes. But when we look at the return and we review it, the amount of things that they have failed to do for the client, the amount of strategies that they left on the table for the client, ended up costing them, say, $20,000 in taxes that they shouldn't have paid. So when we look at how much they actually paid, or that tax return cost them, it's over $20,000. And the client didn't really realize that, because all they cared for was that they paid this preparer a couple $100 and they filed a return for them. But in reality, they paid Uncle Sam extra money that they should have never paid. So what is your tax preparer costing you? What is the preparation of a quick return with no proper documentation really costing you? That should be the question. That's what you should be focused on, and looking for somebody that will help you keep documentation, that will help you put strategies into play. So most of the time we will say, imagine that there's a box. and the tax write-off does not fit in that box. Well, how can we modify that box so that the tax write-off does fit? So what I want to do with my clients is make sure that as long as they can justify it, make it ordinary and necessary for their business, that it does become a write-off, that it does become what you're looking for, and that you could take it off as a deduction on your tax return. So, but again, I will encourage proper documentation and proper notes in order for that to be taken on your tax return. So some of the takeaways of today is, again, when you're looking for a good tax preparer, make sure you ask questions. Make sure you ask questions as far as how are they going to help you understand what's ordinary and necessary. Have them ask you questions. What kind of questions are they asking you? They should be asking you things like, what are your goals? What are the goals of the business? Where are you taking this? How can some of these strategies help you and your business? So you want to make sure that you find individuals that are going to help educate you, help guide you, and overall are looking out for the benefit of you and your business. You want to make sure you understand that the IRS is not that bad. As long as you respond to them in a timely manner and you take care of those notices should you ever receive one, they're not that bad. Make sure you document emails, notes, taking pictures, putting receipts away. All of that stuff is very important that you keep and create good habits. And remember, we're always here to help. Should you ever have questions, should you ever, receive some sort of an IRS notice and you're not sure, please send it our way and we can quickly review it and let you know whether it's something you need to worry about or it's something that you really can truly just file away and not look at it again. Thank you for tuning in today's podcast. You can always find us on our social media. Our website is prominencebusiness.com. Our Instagram is prominence.services. And see you on the next episode.